Okay, today and for the next couple of days, we're going to be working with three-dimensional figures. Okay, today we're going to be starting off with prisms. Okay, a prism is a three-dimensional figure with two congruent and parallel faces. Okay, the name of these faces are the bases of the figure. Okay, it's usually the top and bottom, but okay, they're always parallel and they're always the same shape. Okay, so I colored it in green there. Okay, so those two sides are called the bases. Okay. The other four sides are called the lateral faces. Okay, and that's just the other four sides on the side there. Okay, very simple, straightforward definitions here. Okay, top and bottom are your bases, the sides are your faces. Okay, moving on. Okay, we're going to talk about a couple of different prisms. Okay. This first one here is very easy to name a prism. Okay, whatever its base is going to be the first name. So if we look at that first picture there, it's going to be a rectangular prism. Okay, second shape. Okay, the top and bottom are squares, so it's going to be a square prism. Okay, this third one is kind of like a special case. Okay, everything is a square in this shape, so this is just simply a cube. Okay, when everything's a square, it's just a cube. And lastly, our bases are triangles for this one here, so that is just a triangular prism. Okay, pretty simple way to naming them. Okay, what we're going to do with these three-dimensional shapes is we're going to find the surface area today. Okay, surface area. Get this off here. Okay, surface area is the sum of the areas of the bases and lateral faces. Okay, so that's what we're going to work with. So we're going to find a bunch of areas today, basically. Okay, our first method of finding surface area is using nets. Okay, what a net is, I have a complicated, definition right there for you, but a net is just, unfolding the shape, unfolding the figure. Okay, so it's flat. Okay, that's what a net is. You take a three-dimensional shape, you open it up, you make it flat. Okay, so we look at our first, example here of a rectangular prism. That's what we're going to work with today, is rectangular prisms only. Okay, when I open up this shape, I open up this 3D shape here, you see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different types of rectangles within it. Okay, after I open it up, I want to label each rectangle with a length and width. Okay, so I'm going to work with this first rectangle first. Okay, it's like a long, skinny rectangle, so I look at my three-dimensional shape and I ask myself, where would this go in the three-dimensional shape? Okay, so the other long, skinny side is right here. Okay, so they match up. So what numbers go with that? The 12 feet and the 5 feet. So that's what I'll put there, 12 and 5. Okay. Now for rectangular prisms, there's always going to be two of the same kinds of rectangles. So straight above that side is this top base here. Okay, and they're both going to have the same numbers. So I'm going to go look in my net and look for another rectangle that looks exactly the same as that first one I worked with, which is right here. Okay, once I have that, then I know that is also going to be a 5 and a 12 as well. Let's take that off. Okay, 12, 5. Okay, pretty straightforward. Now we have 2 of our rectangles down. Okay, let me do this real quick here. Okay, 2 rectangles down, 4 more to go. Next rectangle I'm working with is this tiny one right here. Okay, so I go back to my 3-dimensional shape and I look for the smallest side. The smallest side would be on the right here and on the left. Remember, rectangular prisms, opposite sides are the same. Okay, so there's going to be 2 of each side. Okay, so I look at that small side and I want to know what my lengths are. My length and my width. Okay, I have one of them already. I have the width of 5. Okay, right here. It carries over, you know, they share a side, so that means that they're both going to be 5. So now I just need the bottom. This one right here. How do I get that length? Okay, well, I look at my blue squares I just used, or rectangles rather. Okay. Right here, on this side right here, I'll draw it longer just so you can see what I'm talking about. It tells me that side right there is 8. So that means our missing side we're looking for is also going to be 8. Okay, now we're done with that rectangle. Each rectangle only needs two length and widths, or one of each. Okay. And now we gotta look for another blue rectangle. Like I said, each type of rectangle is gonna have the same length and width. Okay, so if I look right here, that's the same size, so that's also gonna be 8 and 5. And now we just have one more type to do, is this really big one right here. Okay, once again, like I said, each rectangle is going to have like a twin of it. So there's going to be 2 of each type. Okay. Let's get rid of all that. And now look at our final rectangle. Okay, it's the biggest rectangle in this shape. So I look at my 3D figure here and I wonder what's my biggest side. And that's going to be right in the front here. Okay, right in the front and right in the back because opposite sides are the same for rectangular prisms. Once I have that, I want to figure out what the length and width of that rectangle is. This one's pretty straightforward. It gives it to you. Okay. You have a width of 8 and a length of 12. Okay. If you notice, we actually have the length of 12 already from our red rectangle. So we already had one done, so all we needed was the 8 now. Okay, and then the one below it also gets the same dimensions, 8 and 12. Okay, and once we have all 6 rectangles completed, all we need to do is find the area of each rectangle and then add them together, because remember, definition of surface area is the sum of all the areas of the faces and bases. Okay, so for my red rectangles, 5 times 12 is 60, and that means the other rectangle is going to be 60. Okay, blue rectangles, 8 times 5 is 40, so both blue rectangles will have an area of 40. And then lastly is my green rectangles, 8 times 12. And that's going to be, let me change the color, 96 for the area of my green rectangles. Once you have the area, I like to put the area in each rectangle so I know I did each one, so I didn't forget any. Once you have all of those areas, you add them all together. So we have 60 plus 60 plus 40 plus 40 plus 96 and plus 96. Okay, add them all together. Okay, 60 plus 60 plus 40 plus 40 plus 96 plus 96. You get 392. Once again, don't forget your units. Like I told you, we're going to be using units pretty much, I think, till the rest of the year. So don't forget your units. In this case, it's feet, and we're talking about area here, so you still need the feet squared. Okay, don't forget to always double check your work. Okay, add it together again if you need to, just to double check. Okay, you can pause the video, do the example. There's only one example, and if you have any questions, don't forget to email me. Okay, moving on. Okay, nets are good if you forget the formula for surface area. There is a formula, so it could be easier for some, could be harder. Okay, the formula is pretty simple. Okay, if you remember when I was talking about the nets, I was saying that there is going to be two of the same rectangles each time. You know how we had 2 reds, 2 greens, 2 blues. Okay, that's basically how the formula works as well. Okay, so for our formula of a rectangular prism, surface area equals 2 times length times width. As you see, we have the length on the bottom and the width at the side. Okay, each problem is always going to give you 3 numbers. If they don't give you the 3 numbers, that means you're usually going to have to use some property to find the third, or, all the numbers. Okay. So continue with the formula. 2 times length times width plus 2 times length times height. Let me write it in a different color actually, so it's easier for you guys to notice the differences. 2 times length times height. And the last part of our equation will be plus 2 times width times height. So once again, like I said, this is the formula. All you need to do is plug in your numbers. So it would be pretty simple. Like I said, they should always give you 3 numbers unless they expect you to use a property to find a missing side. Okay, going to the example. Okay, don't forget to write down your formula each time so you remember. Surface area equals 2 times length times width plus 2 times length times height plus 2 times width times height. Okay, so we look at our example here, number 3. It gives us the 3 numbers like I told you it will. Okay, so we have a length, a width, and a height. Okay, it gives you your 3 numbers, and all you simply have to do is just plug them in. So look at my formula there. So it's going to equal 2 times length. What is my length? It's 5 times, what's my width? 3. Plus 2 times, what's my length? 5. Times my height, which is 18. And then plus 2 times width, which is 3, times height, which is 18. Okay. Now, your next step here is I want you to multiply each term there, just to double check. So 2 times 5 times 3 should get you 30, plus 2 times 5 times 18 should get you 180, plus 2 times 3 times 18 should get you 108. Once again, you can always double check. So I'll double check. 2 times 3 times 18, 180. 2 times 5 times 18, 100. Oh, sorry. 2 times 3 times 18 is 108. 2 times 5 times 18 is 180. And 2 times 5 times 3 is 30. Okay. Once you have all three numbers there, you just add them together. 30 plus 180 plus 108 is 318 feet squared. Okay, sometimes a formula might be easier for some people, but harder for others. Okay, but we're going to be doing both ways for a little bit. When we get to the test, I'll let you guys choose which way you want to use. But as of now, I want you guys to know both ways. Okay, if you have any questions, come on Google Classroom and email me.